Today I'm going to talk about something that's incredibly important if you're a manager looking to develop their leadership skills. It's you and your own personal development. I'm going to share with you how just 15 minutes a week can step change your leadership impact and the steps that I would recommend that you take in that 15 minutes to make sure that you are consistently improving your skills. I want to share a quick story with you. Back in my corporate days, I was managing a large team. We had a massive change agenda going on. Very, very busy, very demanding. And we got to the end of the year and I was doing the preparation for my performance review with my manager. And I opened up my personal development plan. And I was genuinely surprised when I noticed that one whole section I'd just completely forgotten about. Nobody had really asked me about it. And I could pretty much, against the first two things, look at evidence that I had developed and improved my skills. But the last one, I really hadn't done anything. And it was a genuine surprise. What had happened there, I think, happens with lots of managers, that we're so busy doing the work, we often deprioritize and forget ourselves and our own aspirations and development goals. And these two things stay separate. Then I discovered the power of 15 minutes a week, focusing on my own personal development. And it was an absolute game changer. And I still do it to this day. Now, you may be saying 15 minutes a week, is that really going to make a difference? And the answer is a resounding yes. No doubt about it. Because learning leadership skills is about incremental changes over a long period of time. And so the more you can keep that plan front of mind and keep working against it, small steps forward, it makes an enormous difference over a longer period of time. James Clear says in his excellent book, Atomic Habits, if you haven't read it, I would strongly recommend that you do, that success is the product of daily habits and not a once-in-a-life transformation. And I think this is such a powerful quote to have in mind when you're thinking about your own personal development and making sure that you don't put it off for this perfect course or this perfect moment where you will try this new thing out. Those perfect moments don't come along very often, if at all. It's these daily, weekly practice and experimentation that's going to make the big difference to your leadership skills. The challenge therefore becomes, how do we keep our personal development front of mind in order that we just keep moving forwards? Now, before I jump in, there's one very important insight I want to share with you, because I know you're going to be working on leadership skills, often known as soft skills, people skills, communication skills, influence skills, because that's what so much of leadership is about. You may have the best plan in the world, the best strategy. You may be a great thinker. However, in order for this plan to come to life, it's all about other people and influencing and guiding people. It's a different skill set. And many people don't realize that there is a very big gap between knowing what you should do and then consistently doing it. And the knowing, you can go on a course, you can listen to a podcast, you can read books. There is so much content out there to help you learn how to do things, like this video on YouTube. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, because then you'll get weekly lessons. But the challenge is to get to that consistently doing, we've got to come out of our comfort zone into this place of experimentation and practice. And that does not feel as good. And therefore, especially when we're busy, it is easy to go, oh, I'll do that another time. You want to look for micro moments to practice, little and often. And that is critical, because the more often you try small changes out, have an experimenting mindset and willing to have a go, the more you'll find it out. It is not as scary as you thought. The quicker you're going to get the results. So this is such an important concept. Remember, the litmus test for leadership skills is not whether you know it, it's whether you consistently do it. And so whatever you do, do not avoid the middle. So this is where the 15 minutes a week comes in. Let's jump into what you would do within those 15 minutes. The starting point is you need a plan. Now, often you will have one of those in your organization, your personal development plan, and often it just stays in that annual plan. The first thing to do once you've got your annual plan, you're looking at your goals and your aspirations and breaking it down into the important skills, behaviors, and knowledge you need to build in order to achieve that, is break that annual plan down into a quarter focus. That means 4 quarters in the year has 4 development focus points for you. Break the plan down so that it becomes more manageable and moves from aspiration into much more tangible plans. That's what you're going to be focusing on each week, coming back to that quarterly plan and finding out where you are. So what do you do in those 15 minutes? First, you're going to reflect. You're looking back on the previous week and assessing, well, how's that gone? What have I done well? What am I still working against? Where do I feel confident? Where do I not feel so confident? Why is that? And exploring where you are and what you need to do next. What that then allows you to do is refocus, and in particular look at the coming week and look for those micro practice moments that you can implement something that moves you forward. This may be more knowledge building. You want to find time to read a book or do an online course, but an awful lot of it is just looking for what you're doing in the week and thinking, is this an opportunity to practice? Is this an opportunity to experiment? And so you're looking at your schedule, your diary, and thinking, yeah, actually, I've got 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 moments, micro practice moments. And as soon as you see them, they become front of mind. And that's half the challenge of your personal development, is keeping it front of mind and keeping those regular moments of practice and trying things out. And what you want to do is you look at your diary is take note. I sometimes put an emoji on my calendar entry so I remember, but take note and know that they're coming up, because that means just before you have that meeting or that moment, you just get your head in the game. And once you've got your head in the game, you're going to practice. So scheduling those activities, taking it away from this plan into tangible things you're going to do, makes such a difference. And it's small steps forward. You may just find one thing in the week, but the point is that one thing in the week moves you forward. The other thing to think about when you're having that 15 minutes, is there anybody who can help you? Is there a conversation you need to have with someone who you may learn from, like a mentor or a colleague or your manager? Look for people who can help and support you, because what you can do is at that moment reach out to them and get in their diary. Look for that support. Implementing this system does not need to be complicated. Start by scheduling the 15 minutes and putting a reminder in your calendar. That will create that 15 minutes of time for you. I would recommend just writing down and reflecting in the same place. The joy of it is that you can look back and you start to see your progress. And that is incredibly validating and confidence building. And as a consequence, just keeps moving you forward when you're having a bit of a wobble. So you can be the old school person like me. I have an A5 notebook that I use for journaling and reflecting, but I also have a Notion database where I store podcasts or notes, knowledge that I want to keep. One other step you want to think about is having an accountability buddy. Now, this might be a colleague who is also focused on their personal development, who you get on with, who you could have a lunch with once a month and just talk about what you're focusing on. It could be your manager, but find someone to tell, because the act of saying it out loud and telling someone else just automatically increases the chances that you're going to do it. And it's so powerful, rather than just saying to yourself, oh, well, never mind. Find yourself somebody to support you, be a cheerleader, and encourage you. So an accountability buddy. Now, like any habit, starting something new can sometimes be quite difficult. So my advice is just start small. Start by scheduling those 15 minutes. I want you to think about your work week. If you cannot find 15 minutes for yourself, what you are doing is deprioritizing yourself. You are putting all these things that you have to do ahead of you. And yet you are the most important person. And improving your leadership skills means all these other things that you've got to do will probably become easier to do or be done faster, or you will lead them better, so they're going to have better results. It is so important to not deprioritize yourself. Now, I mentioned earlier that learning leadership skills can be tricky. And in this video here, I go into more detail on the skills, the behaviors, and the mindsets that successful leaders have, and that could form part of your development plan. So this is where I would go next. Either way, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.